Exposed, how one unexpected dance with his maid transformed a cold billionaire's life forever. Ethan Raynes stood at the edge of his opulent penthouse, gazing down at the glittering streets of New York City, feeling the same emptiness that gnawed at him each day. His father's expectations hung over him like a dark cloud, and the memory of a family tragedy twisted like a knife in his gut. He was a man loved by many yet truly known by none. Tonight, a charity gala loomed ahead, designed to polish his tarnished public image, but deep down, Ethan felt as cold and hollow as the crystal chandeliers above him. As he weaved through the crowd, the laughter felt more like a backdrop to his life than a part of it. People sipped champagne, their bright outfits dazzling against the shimmer of wealth, while he wished to feel even a fraction of their joy. Just then, a commotion broke his thoughts. Maria, his maid, an immigrant single mother who worked relentlessly to provide for her daughter back home, accidentally spilled a drink on him. Gasps filled the room, the elegant atmosphere shattered. A moment of embarrassment fell over him, yet amidst the chaos, the laughter had a warmth he hadn't known in a long while. "Sorry, Mr. Raynes." Maria's face flushed, her eyes wide with panic. The crowd held its breath, but then someone chuckled, and soon everyone joined in, Ethan included. He felt laughter bubbling from a place deep within, a place long buried. He offered his hand. "Let us dance," he said, heart racing. To his surprise, she took it, the world around them dissolving into a blur. As they twirled, their movements awkward yet freeing, a spark ignited. The music swelled, wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. With each step, he felt the weight of his loneliness lift, replaced by a flicker of humanity he thought he'd lost. Ethan saw Maria's struggle reflected in her eyes, her spirit fierce and resilient. The starkness of their contrasting lives hit him like a wave. Here she was, with unwavering hopes for her daughter, and there he was, drowning in expectations. Was it so wrong to want something as simple as a genuine connection? But the whispers began. Society's judgment loomed heavy, reminding him of their vast differences. How could he, a billionaire with all the privilege in the world, be seen in public with a maid? The romance of their unexpected friendship invited skepticism and scrutiny, a fiery backlash brewing just under the surface. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the night unfolded, rumors began to swirl like a storm. A scandal broke that challenged everything he thought he knew about himself and the world he inhabited. The weight of his legacy pressed down harder than ever. Was he just a puppet, maneuvered by money and status? The time had come for Ethan to make a choice. Would he choose to further isolate himself in his ivory tower or embrace the love and community around him? The thought of stepping into a new world, the true wealth of human connection, set off fireworks in his heart. But would he be brave enough to accept it? Just then, the music faded, leaving behind a silence thick with possibilities. Ethan stood on the precipice of change, heart pounding, wondering if he could defy the odds and rewrite his legacy. The applause faded into a hush, leaving Ethan standing amidst a sea of curious faces. He felt the weight of their gazes, some in admiration, others in judgment. Maria, still holding his hand, looked up at him, her eyes a mixture of surprise and uncertainty. In that moment, he saw not just a maid, but a woman filled with dreams and hopes far beyond the glittering gala. He released her hand gently, as if afraid to shatter the fragile bond they had just crafted. "Maybe we should," he started, unsure how to navigate the feelings surging inside him. But before he could finish, someone stepped forward, a well-dressed man with a knowing smile. "Ethan, what a spectacle. Dancing with your maid? That's bold," he smirked. The laughter swelled again, this time more pointed, more mocking. Ethan clenched his jaw, rage simmering beneath the surface. For once, he didn't want to play the game, he didn't want to be the cold billionaire they all expected him to be. He took a deep breath and stepped closer to Maria. "Let us get out of here," he said, surprising even himself with the conviction in his voice. "Where?" she asked, her brows furrowing in confusion. "Anywhere but here." The idea of escaping the judgmental crowd was intoxicating. He could feel the energy of the room shifting, the air thick with hostility and amusement. As he pulled her gently towards the exit, he heard a few whispers, words like crazy and scandalous that only fueled his resolve. Once outside, the cool night air whipped against his skin. New York was alive with energy, the sounds of the city echoing the chaos in his heart. Maria looked up at him, her expression a blend of apprehension and curiosity. "Are you sure, Mr. Rains?" "Please, call me Ethan," he replied, a small smile breaking through. "And yes, I'm sure. I want to know more about you, about your life. Not just what the tabloids say." "Why would you want that?" she asked, skepticism evident in her gaze. "Because for too long, I've lived a life scripted by others. I can't do it anymore," he admitted, the weight of vulnerability almost unbearable. He searched her eyes for understanding, hoping against hope she would see past the riches and privilege. The two began to walk down the sidewalk, side by side, the city lights illuminating their path. As they strolled, they talked. At first, it was small things: the weather, the crazy crowds. But as they moved deeper into the night, the conversation shifted. She spoke of her daughter, the dreams they held together, the sacrifices she made to keep her safe. He shared snippets of his haunted past, of a childhood full of expectations he never wanted to meet. With every word, the barriers of class and status began to dissolve, revealing a fragile connection stronger than either of them had anticipated. Still, in the back of Ethan's mind, doubt lingered. Could this really be happening? Just then, Maria stopped. "Ethan, this is all crazy. Do you realize how they talk about us? You'll be judged for this. I could lose my job." He stepped closer, his heart racing. "I don't care about them. I care about us." The intensity of the moment held them captive, friendship on the cusp of something more dangerous and beautiful. Their eyes locked, and for a heartbeat, it felt like they were the only two people in the world. But as the night deepened, a forgotten truth pierced through the warmth: they lived in two different worlds, and the inevitable consequences loomed like a shadow over them. Would they dare to continue this journey together, knowing the risks? Or would they let fear dictate their choices and fold back into their separate lives? Ethan's heart raced. He had taken one bold step tonight, but was he ready for what came next? As he looked intently into her eyes, he felt a tragic ripple of uncertainty. Where would this path lead them, toward freedom or heartbreak? "Maria," he whispered, longing and fear entwined in his voice. A decision loomed, heavy with possibility. Would he finally break the chains of expectation, or retreat into the safety of his gilded cage? Ethan. Maria's voice trembled, breaking the silence that enveloped them. She looked down the street, where the lights of the gala flickered in the distance, a reminder of the life he was willing to step away from. This could ruin everything. He took a step closer, closing the space between them. But it could also mean something. Something real. His heart thundered against his chest, the weight of his words hanging in the air. "Real?" she echoed, searching his face for any hint of doubt. "You don't understand what's at stake. My job, my daughter, our lives." With each word, a pang of fear shot through him. He reached out and gently cupped her face in his hands, forcing her to meet his gaze. "I know it's risky, but are we really going to let fear dictate our lives? Can you really see a future with me, one where we are not defined by titles or wealth?" For a moment, silence stretched between them, as thick as smoke. The city buzzed around them, yet they felt cocooned in a bubble of uncertainty. Maria's eyes glistened, and a flicker of hope ignited. You don't know what you're asking. Maybe I don't, he admitted softly, the honesty of his words seeming to hang in the night air. But I want to try. To make my own choices, no matter how crazy they seem to everyone else. She stepped back slightly, the pressure of his touch breaking the spell. All I've known is sacrifice. I wanted to protect my daughter, to give her a better life. I can't risk that for something that feels wild and uncharted. Sometimes wildness is exactly what we need, he insisted, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. What if we could create something beautiful? Together? Maria's heart fluttered with a mix of fear and longing. Deep down, she felt it too, the magnetic pull toward him, toward the unknown. What if we change everything and it only leads to more pain? She whispered, vulnerability slipping through the cracks of her guarded exterior. Then we figure it out together, he replied, determination etched in his features. I won't let you face it alone. She shook her head, her doubts recouping their strength. But every choice has consequences. Ethan took a deep breath, steeling himself. I'd rather have a life filled with risks and you in it than a safe, suffocating existence without you. What I felt tonight when we danced, it was real. Don't we owe it to ourselves to see where this can go? The moment cracked open wide between them, an opportunity filled with possibilities, yet steeped in danger. The weight of his words hung in the night, stirring something deep within her. Ethan, she started, her voice almost breaking, I don't know how to juggle this. My life is a labyrinth of responsibility. It's okay not to know, he soothed. We can navigate it together. But you have to choose to step forward. If that means we distance ourselves from the gala gossip, maybe that's what we need. But what if they find out? The thought sent shivers down her spine. What if you lose everything? Your family, your reputation? Then I'll fight for it. For you. One way or another. His eyes flashed with a fierce promise that both thrilled and terrified her. For the first time, Maria smiled. It was tentative but pure. Something flickered inside her, a tiny spark of rebellion against the chains that had held her for so long. Can we even begin to imagine it? I think we can, he said, reaching for her hand once more. She hesitated, then slipped her fingers into his, a fresh wave of electricity coursing through them. Okay, she whispered, her heart racing as hope and fear tangoed within her. Let us take this step. But she paused, her breath hitching, we need to be smart. We can't be reckless. No, he agreed softly, squeezing her hand. But we can be brave. Together. As they began to walk, a renewed sense of purpose guiding them, the night felt alive with promise. But deep within, they both knew the path ahead was fraught with perils waiting to unfold. What lies ahead for them, in the shadows waiting to trap them? Would their willingness to embrace the unknown strengthen their bond or tear them apart? The cool night air wrapped around them, a stark contrast to the warmth of the moment they had just stepped into. Maria's fingers intertwined with Ethan's, and suddenly, the world felt full of infinite possibilities. The bustling gala nearby, filled with laughter and clinking glasses, faded into the background. Here, in this place, they were untethered from expectation. Ethan glanced down at their hands, a smile creeping across his face that made Maria's heart race. But that joy was quickly shadowed by cold reality. So, what now? She asked, breaking the spell. How do we even begin? Now, he said, his voice steady, we take things one step at a time. Let us talk. Let us figure out what we want. Her heart ached at the thought. It's not that simple. Nothing worth it ever is. He led her down a quiet alley, away from the crowds and prying eyes. Street lamps flickered, casting soft shadows around them as they settled against the brick wall. It felt intimate, secretive, yet the unanticipated thrill excited her. Okay, she said, taking a deep breath. Let us talk about it. What do you want? Ethan paused, his eyes searching hers as if looking for clues. I want you. I want to find out what this could be. Maria swallowed hard. But do you understand what's at stake? You're from a different world, Ethan. I'm just what? A maid? That's not what defines you. He stepped closer, their breaths mingling in the cool air. You're more than your job, Maria. You're smart, caring, and fierce. I see you. I don't see anything but complications, she countered, the anxiety swarming in her chest. If we pursue this, we open the doors to rumors and rejection. My daughter is my priority. I can't jeopardize her life. Ethan's expression softened, and his fingers lightly brushed against her cheek. You want whatever happens, I'll always protect you both. I'm willing to stand against it all for you. Tears pricked her eyes, the vulnerability creeping back in. And what if you lose everything in the process? Your family? Your status? Then I'll build something new. He squeezed her hand, the warmth of his grip anchoring her. With you. You and your daughter deserve that. Maria felt torn, her heart bouncing like a pendulum. But do I deserve something like that? To risk it all for a chance at happiness? Everyone deserves happiness, he insisted, passion igniting in his voice. You should not have to choose between your happiness and responsibility. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. The conviction radiating from him was intoxicating. Maria's body tingled with possibility. What if she did step into the light with him? What if this was the moment where everything changed? I need to think, she whispered, her mind racing with uncertainty and yearning. Ethan nodded, his expression shifting to one of understanding. Take your time. But don't let fear hold you back. That's how we remain stuck. For a fleeting second, they lingered in a shared moment, the energy around them charged. But then reality crashed in like a wave, sharp and cold. She needed to return to her daughter, the ticking clock of responsibility pulling her back. As she stepped away, a nagging doubt gripped her heart. Wait, he called after her, concern etched on his face. Are we okay? His gaze pierced through the night, and she hesitated. I don't know, Ethan. I really don't. For a moment, the distance between them felt unbearable. The weight of her choices pressed heavily on her. Could she risk it all? Just promise me you won't shut me out, he said, emotion thickening his voice. I promise. But as she walked away, the promise felt fragile, like glass just waiting to shatter. In the stillness of the night, Maria wrestled with her heart and mind, the shadows of doubt creeping in again. What if this was the last chance at something real? Would she risk everything for a future she couldn't see clearly? The unknown stretched before her, filled with potential but teetering on the edge of fear. The decision loomed large, and the weight of what was to come rested heavily on her shoulders. Would she dare to leap into the unknown once more? Maria stepped into her world again, the rhythm of the gala pulsating in her ears like an unwelcome reminder of what she was leaving behind. She could hear the laughter, the music, even the soft orchestral notes swirling around, but it felt like a distant echo. Reality crashed in, a tidal wave of responsibility pulling her back to what really mattered, her daughter. As she navigated through the crowd, she felt Ethan's eyes on her, a heat that lingered long after she turned away. Each step forward felt heavy, as if chains had wrapped around her ankles. She paused at the entrance, her heart a battlefield of conflict. She wanted to run back to him, to feel that spark again, but the thought of her daughter waiting for her was a reminder she couldn't shake. Are you okay, Mama? A familiar voice broke through her turmoil, pulling her from the echoes of privilege and longing. Lucia stood there, her innocent smile bright as ever, clutching a half-finished cupcake, frosting smudged on her cheek. The sight made Maria smile, but the worry still clutched at her heart. Yes, honey. Just a little tired, she replied, forcing cheer into her voice. Lucia didn't seem convinced. Did you meet a prince tonight? The innocent hopefulness in her daughter's eyes pulled at Maria's heart. A prince? Oh, sweetheart, something like that. She knelt down, brushing a strand of hair behind Lucia's ear. What you see on television, it's not always real. But this was different, wasn't it? Lucia pressed, her young brow furrowing. You smiled more tonight. I could see it. Tears threatened to spill, but Maria blinked them back. Sometimes grown-ups have complicated things to think about, love. It's all tricky. But you deserve to smile, Mama, Lucia said with fierce sincerity, her small hand clasping Maria's tightly as if to provide strength. As they made their way through the bustling crowd, Maria's heart pounded harder. Each laugh, each swirl of the ballroom dress felt like a reminder of what she was giving up by not choosing Ethan, and yet, the thought of introducing that world to Lucia terrified her. Would they accept her? Would they judge her? Did Ethan want that, too? Doubts whirled in her mind like an angry tempest, and she clung tighter to her daughter's hand. In a quiet moment, Maria pulled Lucia aside to gaze into her eyes, as innocent and bright as stars against the night sky. Do you remember what we talked about? About being strong? About making brave choices? Lucia nodded slowly, her small face serious. Like you did when you started working for the fancy people? Yes, exactly, Maria smiled, for the truth was that she had fought to make a better life for them. But if you want to be happy, then be brave. Lucia announced, her voice ringing with conviction. It's not fair if you're sad just to keep me safe. I don't want that. The clarity of her daughter's words pierced straight through her confusion. Maria's heart fluttered with a mix of emotions, pride, fear, and a sliver of hope. Could it really be that simple? The echoes of their earlier conversation danced back into her mind, urging her towards a decision. Okay, kiddo, Maria finally breathed out, determination creeping in. Let us head back. I need to make a choice. Her heart raced at the thought of revealing everything to Ethan, at the very idea of allowing him into their lives. As they walked back toward the exit, she felt the air around her shift. Shadows of doubt still loomed, but now there was a flicker of hope. Could she truly allow herself to leap into the unknown? She spotted Ethan across the room, standing tall and commanding amidst the crowd, his gaze searching. The world around them faded again, leaving just the two of them. And there it was, an unexpected tug at her heart. Ethan, she whispered under her breath. The world was still, and her choice stood ready to unfold. But was she brave enough to take that leap? The moment hung in the air, weighted with anticipation. Maria's breath hitched in her throat as she took a tentative step forward. Her mind raced, every heartbeat echoing the uncertainty that swirled around her. Lucia's small hand tightened in hers, grounding her amid the chaos. Let us go, Mama. The girl's voice was a gentle nudge, bursting with belief and innocence. Maria glanced down at her daughter and felt the warmth of her unconditional support. It felt right, having Lucia beside her, reminding her of what mattered most. All right, let us do this, she murmured, summoning every ounce of courage she could muster. As she approached Ethan, he seemed to sense her presence. His eyes, a softened storm of gray, flickered with surprise and a hint of worry, almost as if he could discern the conflict roiling within her. Maria's heart raced. He looked so handsome in that suit, exuding grace and power, and yet he had a warmth about him that beckoned her. Maria, Ethan greeted, his voice smooth but edged with concern. I was wondering if you'd found a way back to me, he said, with a half-smile that danced dangerously close to hope. Her words caught in her throat. Here she was, standing before a man who represented everything she feared and desired. What if she failed? What if she took this leap only to fall flat? Can we talk? She managed to say, her voice steadying despite the tremor of anxiety that pulsed through her. Ethan nodded, and they moved to a quieter corner of the gala, the music still echoing around them but fading into the background. The laughter and chatter existed somewhere else, and, for a moment, it was just the two of them. "Is everything okay?" he asked, the lines on his forehead deepening with concern. Maria inhaled deeply, the scent of polished wood and light perfumes filling her senses. "I've been thinking a lot since the last time we were together," she started, her words tumbling out like a floodgate bursting open. "About us, about our lives and how different they are." Ethan's expression shifted, his brow furrowing slightly as if trying to decipher her thoughts. "Different how?" It's just she took another breath, her heart racing. "You live in this grand world filled with luxury and privilege, while I have a daughter and a path that is so much different from yours." "Lucia," he said softly, and the way he said her name sent a jolt of tenderness through Maria. "I know you have her to think about. She deserves the best. I want to shield her from every storm, but I'm realizing I can't do it alone." The honesty of her confession enveloped her like a heavy cloak. Ethan stepped closer, an intensity in his eyes that made her heart flutter. "You want to be alone. I want to be there for both of you. But you must let me in, Maria. Please." The words hung like a promise in the air. Maria's breath caught, the weight of what opening up to him meant crashing down on her. Would she expose Lucia to a world filled with scrutiny? Would they accept them, or would she be pushing her daughter into the eye of a storm? "Ethan, I'm scared," she admitted, her voice trembling. "Me too," he replied honestly, his gaze unwavering. "But sometimes, the things that scare you most lead to the best outcomes." They stood there, emotions flickering between them like a flame. It was an invitation to step forward, to choose love over fear, to brave the unknown together. Maria felt the pull of possibility, the fleeting thrill of what could be. But what if her fears came true? What if love wasn't enough? "Can I take your hand?" Ethan asked, extending his palm toward her, his expression as earnest as ever. Maria's heart raced, caught between the gravity of decision and the flicker of hope. She glanced at Lucia, who was dancing with carefree abandon among the guests, blissfully unaware of the weighty conversation happening just steps away. Now, the choice lay before her. To take a leap, to reach for something terrifying yet exhilarating. "Okay," she whispered, feeling the warmth of his hand envelop hers, a beacon of trust amid the uncertainty that surrounded them. And as the moment stretched, lifting them from the noise, an exhilarating dance began between possibility and fear. But would the music of their hearts be enough to drown out the doubts that still lingered? Ethan's hand was warm against Maria's, and the connection surged through her like electricity. It was a simple touch, yet it drowned out the noise around them, the laughter, the clinking glasses, the soft strains of music. In that brief moment, the chaotic world of the gala faded away until it was just the two of them, a fragile sanctuary carved from uncertainty and yearning. Lucia twirled on the floor, her dress a blur of color, her laughter ringing clear as joyful bells. Maria's heart swelled at the sight of her daughter lost in the delight of the moment, completely unbothered by the weight of adult concerns. It reminded her that love, in its purest form, was unscripted and free. But with that realization came an avalanche of worries about the life she could offer Lucia and the risks that love might bring. "What are you thinking?" Ethan's voice broke through her reverie, and she found herself staring into the depths of his earnest gray eyes. It was as though he was asking for all her secrets at once. "I want to believe in this," she admitted, her words trembling slightly. "But I can't ignore the reality of our lives." Ethan's thumb brushed against her palm, a small gesture, but it filled the space between them with warmth. "Reality isn't carved in stone, Maria. We can mold it, shape it into something beautiful, something that works for us." His optimism wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, yet doubts nestled deep within her. What if they weren't enough? What if their worlds, so seemingly different, couldn't coexist? "Can you handle the complexities?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. People will talk, they'll judge. We'll face them together, he said, unwavering. You taught me something the last time we were together. It's not what others think that matters but what we choose to believe. I believe we can make this work. The sincerity in his eyes ignited a flicker of hope, yet fear clung to her like a third presence. She was acutely aware of the choices that lay ahead, the path they could walk together, and the shadows that might accompany them. Will Lucia be okay? She blurted, the question bursting forth unbidden. What if she gets hurt? What if? What if she grows up seeing what love looks like, unfiltered and real? Ethan countered. What if she learns to embrace life's uncertainties? It could shape her into someone strong, someone fearless. Maria bit her lip, weighing his words like precious gems. For every fear, there was a possibility. What if they could be that family, a united front against the world's judgments? She released a shaky breath and nodded, more to herself than to him. Okay. But if we do this, we do it together. We can't turn back, Ethan. There's no room for half measures. That's all I've ever wanted, he replied, a slow, genuine smile stretching across his face. It ignited the air between them, warming her heart even further. As they stood there with hands linked, Maria could feel the pulse of possibility beating in her chest. They were not merely stepping into the unknown, they were creating a path forward with each beat, each breath, each choice they made together. Lucia had stopped dancing, eyes sparkling, and was now watching them with an innocent curiosity. Maria's heart swelled with a protective instinct as their gaze met. Let us show her what love can do, Ethan said, and in that moment, the words felt like a promise, echoing strong and true. That's when Maria realized that this journey wouldn't just be about love but also discovery, their strengths, their boundaries, their unity. But just as hope began to blossom, the doors swung open behind them and a sudden hush fell across the gala. Maria turned sharply, her heart pounding not at the change in atmosphere but at the unexpected figure standing there. A woman, elegantly dressed, her presence commanding and unmistakable. Ethan, we need to talk, the woman said, her icy tone cutting through the warmth they had built. In that instant, Maria's world shifted again, the embrace of hope now tempered with a chill of fear. What storm was brewing now? Ethan's eyes flickered between them, confusion and concern painting his features as Maria's grip tightened on his hand. Uncertainty swirled back, reminding her of the delicate balance they had just begun to explore. Who is she? Maria whispered, dread creeping in as the gala buzz resumed around them. And just like that, the delicate dance of possibility was put on pause. What new challenges awaited them, and were they strong enough to face them together? Ethan's grip tightened on Maria's hand, his expression shifting as he looked from the woman to her and back again. The seconds felt like hours, the music fading into a dull echo in her ears. Just give me a moment, he murmured, stepping away from Maria slightly. The warmth of his presence shifted, leaving an emptiness that echoed louder than the surrounding gala. Maria felt herself retreat inward, her heart racing. This elegant lady, with her sharp demeanor and piercing gaze, was clearly a force to be reckoned with. Each second stretched painfully as Maria tried to process who this woman could be and what she wanted. Ethan, the woman urged again, her voice low but insistent. We really need to talk. It's important. Maria's mind raced. Was this a past lover? A business partner? The uncertainty sent chills down her spine, making her instinctively inch closer to Lucia, who was still watching wide-eyed, sensing the tension in the air. Could you please explain who she is? Maria managed, her voice steadier than she felt. She didn't want to sound weak, but she could feel herself shaking slightly, nerves bubbling beneath the surface. Please, the woman replied, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear, an elegant movement, yet it only provoked more suspicion. I promise I'm here to help. Ethan looked between the two of them again, caught in an emotional tug-of-war. Maria, this is Rebecca. She's a lawyer, and she has some serious matters to discuss regarding your father's estate," Rebecca interrupted, her tone unwavering, as if she rehearsed every word. "There have been complications since your father's passing, Ethan. We need to address them, especially now that she hesitated, glancing pointedly at Maria, involved with someone new." The words hit Maria like a cold gust on a winter afternoon. She felt the weight of implication sink deep into her chest. Involved with someone new? It sounded so trivial, so casual, reducing what they had fought to build into mere gossip. "Let us talk somewhere private," Ethan insisted, looking visibly strained. But his eyes darted back to Maria, pleading silently for her support. "No," Maria said, stepping forward, her heart racing as she took a breath to steady herself. "We can talk here. Whatever it is, it involves us both." Rebecca arched an eyebrow, seemingly surprised at Maria's assertiveness. "Are you sure? This situation could get complicated. I'm already in this, whatever it is. You have to tell me too." Maria's voice trembled slightly, but she held her ground, refusing to back down. The flicker of uncertainty in Ethan's eyes made her heart ache. It was as if she could see the weight of family expectation pressing down on him like a heavy shroud. Ethan's face softened, gratitude mixing with concern. "Maria, you don't have to," but before he could finish, Rebecca interjected, "Very well. It's about your father's will and the unexpected conditions he placed upon it." The room seemed to shudder, and Maria's heart sank. There were conditions? What could possibly be involved? Would this marriage be just another transaction, another reason for judgment in their already complicated dynamic? This is definitely some kind of family business, Maria thought, suddenly feeling like an outsider in their relationship. But the way Ethan looked at her like she was his anchor made her steel herself. "Let us hear it," Maria said, surprising even herself with the firmness in her tone. As Rebecca began outlining the terms, each word felt like a brand etched into the air. With every complication she introduced, Maria's worries about their future mounted. If this was a test, it was one she wasn't sure how to pass. But amidst the chaos and uncertainty, something inside Maria ignited. She was determined to face whatever storm came their way, not alone, but together. "Did you think you could just walk away from this?" she asked Ethan quietly, her voice as steady as it had ever been. "We face it all together, remember?" Ethan looked at her, realization dawning. He didn't nod, but Maria could feel his resolve bubble up as if he, too, was recognizing the importance of their bond. But with one look at Rebecca, poised and ready to continue, Maria realized the real confrontation had only just begun. What lay ahead could break them or it could forge them into something unbreakable. Rebecca's voice was cold, methodical, as she laid out the details of the will. "Your father has specified that in order to inherit the estate, you must marry within the year. If not, the entire fortune will go to a distant relative he barely acknowledged." Maria's breath caught in her throat. The weight of the words hung heavy in the air like a fog threatening to suffocate her. She glanced at Ethan, searching for any sign of how he processed this bombshell, but his eyes were locked on Rebecca. They were wide, brimming with a mix of disbelief and anger. "There must be another way," Ethan insisted, a tremor of disbelief slipping into his voice. "I can't believe my father would do this." "Believe it," Rebecca replied, her tone clipped. "Your father was very particular about ensuring the family name continued. He wanted to motivate you to settle down, especially after your mother she let the sentence hang, the unspoken past looming between them." Maria watched Ethan's jaw clench tightly. His past, the scars it bore, were now intertwined with conditions that threatened their future. "But what if I don't want to marry for money?" he replied, the desperation creeping into his voice. "It's not about money, Ethan," Maria interjected, surprising even herself once again. "It's about what we believe in. About what our love is worth." The words fumbled out of her, stitched with passion and determination. He turned towards her, eyes searching, and she felt the connection ground them amidst the chaos of it all. "But this is all so wrong, so unfair," he replied. "I can't just agree to marry someone because my father dictated it." "Your father is gone," Rebecca reminded him sharply. "And the terms are legally binding. It's either marry or lose everything." She paused, allowing the gravity of her words to sink in. "And with Maria in the picture, it complicates things further." Maria's pulse raced a wild rhythm in her chest. She could feel the weight of expectation from them both, glancing back and forth between the two of them. "What if we just wait?" she offered, though even as the words left her mouth, she knew how naive it sounded. Ethan shook his head. "You don't understand. They won't wait. There's always a bureaucratic loophole ready to snatch what could be ours. Your family didn't want to tear you down, Ethan. They wanted to bind you to your roots," Rebecca said, her tone softening just a touch as she looked at him. "But the reality is that these are conditions that must be fulfilled." Maria felt the dam inside her begin to crack. "What if we do marry?" she blurted out, the proposal hanging there in the air, heavier than it should be. Ethan snapped his gaze to her, disbelief turning to a flicker of hope. "Maria, you don't have to. I'm not saying it's easy," she interrupted, finding her resolve. "But if this is what it takes to protect what we have, then we face this together. I'm not backing down." The silence that followed was almost deafening. The crowd around them buzzed, a distant hum as Maria and Ethan stood at the eye of a personal storm. The music shifted, a slow tune that didn't match their frenetic energy, almost mocking them. Rebecca's eyebrows shot up, perhaps in surprise but maybe in admiration for Maria's boldness. "You both need to consider what that could mean. This isn't just a matter of the heart. It's contracts, obligations, sacrifices." Ethan toyed with the cuff of his shirt, his brow furrowing as if weighing every possible outcome. "What if I say yes? What if we enter a marriage born out of necessity rather than love?" "Then it would be up to us to build that love," Maria said firmly, squeezing his hand tighter. Ethan looked into her eyes, and for that moment, the world around them faded. "Could we?" he breathed, his voice laced with vulnerability. But just as hope shimmered between them, Rebecca cleared her throat. "I still have to warn you. There will be repercussions, even from your father's grave." "Repercussions?" Ethan echoed, shadows of worry flickering across his face. "Those who want a piece of that estate will come at you from all sides, trust me," she replied, leveling her gaze at both of them. "This won't just test your love, it could tear you apart." The music turned uplifting, a sharp contrast to their spiraling reality. And as they stood locked in their own moment, Maria's heart raced not just with fear, but with determination. The vow to fight for each other echoed anew. Could they navigate these uncharted waters, risking everything for a chance to redefine their lives together? And as the gala continued, with laughter and celebration swirling around them, one question lingered in the air: what if their fight was only beginning? Maria stood rooted in the moment, her heart pounding in her chest as Ethan's eyes searched hers, a tempest of uncertainty flickering between them. The world around them was a blur, the laughter, the music, the vibrant colors, all faded to a dull hum. Each breath felt heavy with the gravity of their circumstances. "I never thought this is how things would unfold," Ethan finally said, his voice laced with worry. "I wanted to protect you from the chaos, not drag you into it. But this is our choice." Maria replied, her voice steady despite the tumult inside her. "We've both taken risks for something that feels undeniably real. I'm not backing down just because it's complicated." His gaze softened, appreciation flickering in his eyes. "You don't have to do this alone. This marriage, it's just a commitment on paper, but it can mean more if we choose to fill it with our love. What if the complications crush us?" Maria feared, the shadows of doubt creeping in again. "What if we lose everything?" Ethan took a step closer, his presence grounding and steadying her tumultuous thoughts. Then we fight together. Together, we can build a family filled with love, a life full of choices, not constraints. Maria's heart fluttered at his words, but worry still lingered. Would they be strong enough to withstand whatever storms were ahead? I just want Lucia to have a life free from scrutiny. She deserves to feel unburdened, she whispered. There was a flicker of something in Ethan's eyes, determination mixing with love. And she will, as long as we stand together. We'll carve out our space, create our happy path, regardless of what anyone thinks. Taking a deep breath, Maria felt a shift within herself, a newfound strength igniting like a flame. I'm in this, Ethan. If we're going to fight, it will be as a unit, the three of us, you, me, and Lucia. The promise hung between them, a vow of determination igniting hope. But the looming threat of potential backlash still loomed like a dark cloud. Okay, let us talk to Rebecca, Ethan said finally, his voice steady with purpose. If we are to face this together, we need to be fully informed of the risks involved. Together, Maria echoed, intertwining her fingers with his. For a breath, the connection sparked electric through them. But they both knew the fight was ongoing. As they turned to face Rebecca, they felt the eyes of the gala guests rest on them, curious yet judgmental. So, you're considering this whole marriage thing, are you? Rebecca raised an eyebrow, a hint of intrigue lacing her tone. Yes, Ethan replied, his belief firm. If the conditions of the will demand it, then we'll move forward together. We want to know precisely what that entails. The conversation turned into a flurry of legal terms and potential pitfalls, but Maria felt resolute. In that moment, it didn't matter that shadows loomed, they were no longer caged by expectations. As the hours passed, they discussed, challenged, and mapped out their course. With every word spoken, Maria felt the seeds of transformation blossoming within her. A sense of community flooded her. Ethan's commitment ignited a flame of pure possibility, and the walls built by doubt began to crumble. Standing back and watching Ethan, the man who once seemed cold and distant, now fighting fiercely for their shared future, it filled her with a sense of warmth she had desperately yearned for. After what felt like an eternity, a mixture of hope and uncertainty, they finally concluded the discussion. Are we ready for this? Ethan asked, searching Maria's eyes with such sincerity that her heart swelled with emotion. Yes, she whispered, feeling a lightness in her chest she hadn't thought possible amidst chaos. The gala continued around them. People celebrated and danced, dreams and laughter floated by like beautiful butterflies, but Maria and Ethan stood firm, hand in hand. They looked at each other, ready to embrace whatever came. Let us show the world they can't tear us apart, Maria said, confidence swelling within her. Exactly, Ethan replied, a grin spreading across his face. Together we're unstoppable. We'll mold our future. And with that, a tide of change surged through them. They had chosen their path, facing it together, and that decision marked the beginning of everything through love, courage, and the promise of what was yet to come. As the night deepened, a gentle embrace enveloped them, filled with warmth, determination, and hope. They stepped back into the gala, ready to embrace every challenge. This was their moment to rise, and they wouldn't back down. Now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it makes a huge difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel.